In the shadow depths of North America's wilderness, where the sun seldom penetrates the thick canopy, a legend stirs, a legend that refuses to fade into myth. Over 10,000 documented sightings have been recorded across the continent. From the misty hollows of the Appalachian Mountains to the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, the creature known as Bigfoot or Sasquatch lurks. Hunters, park rangers, and even military personnel have reported encounters, their tales consistent in detail yet chilling in their implications. Dr. John Bindernagel, a wildlife biologist, recounts a hunter's account. A towering figure with a conical head, broad shoulders, and matted hair, kneeling by a creek. The creature's gaze was intense, its presence undeniable. Retired firefighter Bob Strain describes a tall, fluid-moving entity in the Sierra Nevada mountains, its movements unnaturally smooth, as if it were part of the forest itself. In the 1970s, Ron Moorhead and Al Berry recorded eerie vocalizations in the Sierra Nevada, growls, whoops, and a language-like chatter. Scott Nelson, a retired Navy cryptolinguist, analyzed these sounds, concluding they possess syntax and phonetics, resembling a language. Indigenous tribes speak of beings like Sasquatch, known by names such as Oma and Seasquick. Chief Dan George acknowledged Bigfoot as part of Native history, while a Northern Cheyenne elder referred to them as brothers of the forest. Across the globe, similar legends persist. In the Himalayas, climbers like Reinhold Messner and Eric Shipton have reported sightings of the Yeti, a creature with large, human-like footprints. In Australia, the Yowie, a towering figure with reddish-brown hair, haunts the outback. Central Asia's Almas is believed to be a relic hominid, possibly a Neanderthal. In the Amazon, the Mapinguari, a musky-smelling giant, roams the dense jungles. Over 1,500 footprint casts have been documented. Sizes range from 15 to 24 inches long, with widths up to 10 inches. Features include dermal ridges akin to fingerprints, a mid-tarsal break, a trait of non-human primates, and stride lengths up to 50 inches. Dr. Jeff Meldrum of Idaho State University notes that the foot anatomy aligns with an unknown primate species. The 1967 Patterson-Gimlin film, captured at Bluff Creek, California, remains a focal point of debate. Special effects expert Bill Munns argues that the muscle movements and proportions are challenging to replicate with 1960s technology, suggesting authenticity. Other footage, like that from Marble Mountain, depicts a figure moving along a ridge. Despite analysis, the identity of the creature remains unconfirmed. In 1994, the Ohio Howl was recorded by Matt Moneymaker. Analyzed by Jeff Meldrum and David Ellis, the sounds did not match any known animal, deepening the mystery. In 2016, a recording from Oregon featured whoops and tree knocks. Sound technician Chris Spencer noted the exceptional pitch range and intentional pattern, suggesting intelligence behind the sounds. In 2013, Dr. Melba Ketchum's study analyzed over 100 DNA samples. Mitochondrial DNA matched human, but nuclear DNA was of an unknown primate. The findings suggest a hybrid species, part human, part unknown hominin. Justin Smeja claimed to have shot a Bigfoot, submitting matching tissue samples. A saliva sample from Texas also showed the same hybrid DNA profile, supporting the theory of a hybrid species. Experts like Dr. Irene Scott and Dr. Christopher Lau have validated the methodology and chain of custody of the DNA studies, despite skepticism from some quarters. Retired park ranger Bill Lansford was reportedly told not to share sightings. Former forest ranger Charles E. Howard was instructed to keep Bigfoot-related information quiet. Retired police officer Robert Morgan's colleagues saw Bigfoot but were afraid to talk. James Bobo Fay asserts that many park rangers and law enforcement have seen Bigfoot but were told to stay silent. The Bigfoot phenomenon is widespread, occurring globally under different names. It is multifaceted, involving footprints, videos, eyewitness reports, sounds, and DNA. It is compelling, with many witnesses having nothing to gain and risking ridicule. It is potentially suppressed, with credible claims suggesting evidence may be hidden due to fear of public reaction. So the question remains, is Bigfoot merely a legend, a shadow in the mist, or is there something more lurking in the forests, waiting to be discovered? Most cultures have legends about monsters, but few describe one that consumes your identity. In the subarctic boreal forests of northern Canada, the Wechuge isn't just a physical threat, it's a spiritual annihilation. It's said that those who encounter it lose not just their lives, but their very sense of self. Survivors from indigenous communities describe encounters where loved ones returned. Different, emotionless, as if hollowed out from the inside. Avoiding the Wechuge isn't just about hiding from a beast, it's about guarding your mind and will. Stay sharp or lose more than your body. Imagine trekking alone through the snow-draped wilds of northern Alberta. The wind howls like distant voices, the trees moan in protest, and a pressure builds behind your eyes as if something ancient has noticed you. That eerie sense? It's a hallmark of Wechuge encounters. Unlike typical cryptids that rely on brute strength, the Wechuge is a master of psychological manipulation. Witnesses often report feeling mentally invaded, like a presence whispering in their thoughts. If your instincts scream that something's off in the woods, listen. That might be your only warning. What if the Wechuge isn't a creature at all, but what a human becomes after crossing a forbidden line? According to the lore of the Athabascan-speaking peoples, the Wechuge often begins as a person who breaks a sacred taboo, like cannibalism during a brutal winter. The transformation isn't instant. It creeps in, distorting the soul before devouring the mind. This twist flips the usual monster tale. The horror comes from within. You don't meet a Wechuge, you turn into one. Self-control isn't just moral, it's survival. Lose it, and you risk becoming the nightmare. Elder Louise Twin, a Cree knowledge keeper, once said, "The Wechuge isn't just a tale, it's a warning encoded in blood memory." To her and others, these legends aren't superstition. They're survival guides passed down for centuries. Modern science often dismisses myth, but indigenous oral history often carries coded truths about real dangers, mental illness, isolation psychosis, or desperate starvation that warps the human psyche. Respecting ancient warnings isn't about believing in monsters. It's about understanding the human threshold of breaking. Here's what most people miss. The Wechuge doesn't come in just one form. In Diné lore, there are two distinct versions. One is a transformed human cursed by cannibalism. The other is an ancient spirit that possesses the weak-willed. Either way, the result is chilling, a hollowed shell driven by hunger and rage. This dual identity adds to the confusion and the danger. Is it stalking you or already inside you? Whether external or internal, the Wechuge exploits vulnerability. Guard your body and your beliefs. One trapper's son recounted how his father returned from a solo winter hunt. Different. He was alive, but distant, paranoid, and violent. He barely spoke. He looked like my dad, but something was missing behind his eyes, the son recalled. Locals whispered that he had eaten his sled dogs to survive. The transformation wasn't instant, but over the next months the man became reclusive, then dangerous. Extreme isolation breaks more than bodies. It can splinter identity itself. Know your limits, or risk crossing into something else. In some First Nations communities, it's considered dangerous to speak the Wechuge's name aloud, especially deep in the forest. The belief is that names have power, and invoking them can draw a spirit's attention. This isn't just mystical thinking. Psychology shows that fixation fuels fear. The more we obsess over something dark, the more real it feels, sometimes even manifesting in behavior. What you name, you nourish. Starve the fear by denying it power. Why do so many Wechuge encounters end without a trace? No blood, no signs of struggle? Some stories claim the creature doesn't kill in the usual sense. Instead, it consumes the essence, leaving behind a body that looks untouched. Hunters have reportedly found motionless figures in the snow, eyes wide open, faces frozen in terror, yet no visible wounds, as if their souls had been pulled out. Protecting your spirit may be just as crucial as guarding your skin. The Wechuge isn't just a forest horror, it's a mirror. It reflects what happens when survival trumps humanity, when isolation devours empathy, and when taboo becomes temptation. The monster is real, but not always external. Its legend endures because it warns us about the darkest parts of ourselves. Ignore those warnings, and the forest may not be the only thing that swallows you. The next time you feel yourself unraveling, pause. That's the edge. Step back, stay curious, because next time we'll explore something even more chilling hiding in plain sight. Deep in the misty forests of the Pacific Northwest, where ancient cedar trees rise like pillars into the clouds, a legend waits. The fog drapes the canopy like a burial shroud. The underbrush whispers secrets. And the silence? The silence breathes. It's there, between the shadows and the wind, that she lurks. She is Zunukwa, the wild woman of the woods, an ancient, terrifying presence etched into the soul of the forest, and into the dreams of those who know her name. Some call her a myth, a bedtime story, a cautionary tale used by elders to frighten unruly children into behaving. But others know better. They have heard the sound, not the howling of wolves, not the rustle of branches, but something else. A long, low moan carried by the wind, curling through the treetops like a sorrowful dirge. That sound, that is her call. In the mythology of the Kwakwaka'wakw people, Zunukwa is no ordinary monster. She is an ogress, towering, black-skinned, with wild, tangled hair that drapes over her shoulders like matted vines. Her eyes are sunken and empty. Her lips, pursed and puckered, are forever poised to emit her chilling, ghostly cry. And she is always searching for disobedient children, for the curious, for the lost. Legends say she carries a massive woven basket strapped to her back. Its size defies logic, large enough to carry 10 children, maybe more. When she finds them, wandering too far from home or sneaking away from their village, she scoops them up, tucks them into her basket, and disappears into the shadows of the forest. There, in that damp, eternal twilight, time forgets them. The trees seem to close in, the birds go silent, and the only sound that remains is her breath. Many who vanish are never found. Only a broken toy, a scattered footprint, or the lingering scent of smoke remains, remnants of lives swallowed by the woods. But Zunukwa is more than a taker of children. She is ancient, she is enduring, she is impossible to kill. Warriors have tried, Shamans, too. Tales tell of brave souls who confronted her, armed with fire and steel, seeking to end her reign of terror. But no matter how many wounds they dealt, she did not fall. Her body would heal before their eyes. Her black skin would knit itself whole, her snarls turning to laughter, mocking them. And then she would vanish again, as if the forest itself had swallowed her whole. There is one story, passed down from elder to elder, whispered only by firelight. Long ago, a desperate tribe, driven to the brink by her ceaseless attacks, hatched a plan. They lured Zunukwa with the cries of a child, baiting her into a great pit lined with dry cedar and spruce. When she stepped inside, the warriors lit the fire. Flames consumed her. Her screams shook the trees. For 3 days and nights the fire burned, and when it finally died, nothing remained but ash. The people rejoiced. They believed she was gone. But the wind shifted, and from those ashes rose a new horror, a cloud of tiny, bloodthirsty creatures. Mosquitoes, Zunukwa's final curse, a swarm that spread across the land, forever tormenting those who had dared destroy her. Even in death, she would never let them forget. To this day, when mosquitoes buzz too close to your ear, when they rise from the damp earth and clouds, some say it is her, still watching, still biting, still remembering. But Zunukwa isn't always the villain. In some versions of the story, she is different. Still wild, still fearsome, but also misunderstood. A lonely creature, a being of both shadow and sorrow. Some say she was once a mother herself, long ago, before the forest took her heart. In these tales, Zunukwa can sometimes be tricked or bargained with. Clever children, brave enough to speak her name, can confuse her. She is slow, they say, dull-witted. Her hunger is great, but her mind is clouded, like the mist she lives within. One story tells of a child who outwitted her with riddles, distracting her long enough to escape her basket. Another legend speaks of a hunter who carved a mask in her likeness, wearing it to frighten her away. And that mask? It is still used today. At the end of Kwakwaka'wakw potlatch ceremonies, those sacred gatherings of honor, wealth, and storytelling, a chief will don the mask of Zunukwa. It is not worn to glorify her, but to remember, to warn, to remind all present that though the feast has ended, the forest still watches, and that Zunukwa, she of tangled hair and hungry breath, is never truly gone. Children are told to obey their elders, to stay close to the fire, to never wander too far into the trees, because if they do, they may hear it, that moan, that low, mournful sigh rising from the canopy. Is it just the wind through cedar branches? Or is it her Zunukwa calling your name, her basket already slung over her back? So the next time you find yourself alone beneath towering trees, listen closely.